Another episode of Hustlers Anonymous, episode 4. So much to get into. I'm one of your hosts, Kevin Benoit, Parle magazine. This is
Penny Blackwrite, best-selling author, 12 novels and counting. Check me out on Amazon.
Talk Your Ish. There's so much to get into this week. It's
Yeah.
some breaking news, some drama, like it's a little bit of everything. But we're gonna change the format a little bit. We're gonna start it with Parlay with Penny. Because there was a lot happening with the ladies this week
Yes,
too.
a
So
lot this past weekend. So first, I want to say Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers who celebrated, and I hope that you had a joyful Mother's Day, either being a mother or being a daughter, and just hanging out with your family. So this past weekend, a lot of stuff going on in the fashion world. So let's just jump right into the fiasco that recently happened with Jayda Wayda. For people who don't know who that is, she is a entrepreneur as well as Little Baby's baby mother. She has her own brand. She started selling hair. Now she has a swim line. She also has like a clothing line as well. And most recently, she's just been in hot water, and she was accused for actually stealing a design from a black business owner, a black woman business owner, actually. So, a woman who owns a company called Enor Swimwear, she created this like really cute flower bomb bathing suit. So like the boob area has like flowers on it, and it's just something innovative and different.
it was real
And
cute.
she actually reached out to Jayda, and I want to say 2019 or 2020, about Jayda, wearing her swimsuit for promo. So she reached out to her manager. Her manager actually, they decided on a price of $4,000. So she paid her $4,000 July 2020 to actually wear and promote her swim line. Her swimsuit, her specific flower bomb swimsuit. Jayda did wear it. Even if you go on a woman's website, which is, her Instagram, which is AEU Nor Swimwear, you'll see one of the posts that's pinned to the top is the picture of Jayda wearing a swimsuit. So, long story short, Jayda most recently, because she has in the last year launched her own swim line, she actually posted a photo of her wearing a swimsuit that looked very similar to the swimsuit that Enor, the owner of Enor, paid her to wear a few years prior. Even though the picture that the color of the swimsuit that Enor paid her to wear was yellow, she actually premiered a very similar looking swimsuit in an orange color on her own brand this past weekend. And she said, this isn't production right now. So she basically just alluded that she will be coming out with her own swimsuit that looks exactly like this. So, of course, the woman took note to it. It went all over social media. She posted telling her story, just documenting, the relationship that she had with Jayda. And that even after she paid Jayda, her and Jayda stayed in communication. They were talking. Jayda told her that she wanted to launch her own line. And apparently, based on what this woman is saying on her Instagram post, they talked about them getting it copyright, and it sounded like they were creating some kind of collaboration or working together. Nonetheless, once she posted on social media, of course, users, they had their own opinion about Jayda stealing stuff, and it kind of just backfired on Jayda, as well as her response. And her response was so interesting. I want to read the first response to you because it's very interesting. She told the girl, "Oh, it's no shade. The girl I promoted back in 2020 was on a mood board for this summer swim. That's what fashion is about, remaking and recreating. It's no shade at all. I never take offense when I'm on someone's mood board. That's how it goes." So, she was really snooty about it, and that's what people had an issue with. That she was snooty about it. And then she actually said that she wasn't sober when she said that, and she came to her senses saying, "Hell no, I can't do that." And she basically reached back out to the woman, and she issued an apology. And I read the apology, and she just started out saying that she's sorry. She realized that she wasn't selling the bikinis anymore, and that she didn't think it would be a big deal since plenty of other brands have the same concept. So pretty much, she did come back. She sent her like a long paragraph apologizing. And some social media users are saying that she, was a big woman for apologizing. And then some people like me, I feel like she just got caught red-handed and she wanted to clear it up. That's just how I felt. And I felt like she's using the excuse that she wasn't sober, because that message just didn't sound genuine to me. She said, "I'm actually back sober. That's why I'm over here like, hell nah, I can't do that. It ain't right." And that still doesn't take away anything I said before, because things will always be a recreation of something. We can't take nothing in this game we call life personal. But I'm a strong believer in do unto others what you would have them do unto you. So right there, that was a backhanded apology. When I read the whole thing, it just, to me, it sounds like a backhanded apology. Like, I'm apologizing to save face and to do the right thing, but I don't really care about doing the right thing. Like, and I'm letting you know that so basically this is what she said, because I didn't even read that full message until just now. And I already had in my mind that she wasn't being genuine in her apology. It's just for public opinion. So whatever, that's, neither here nor there, but, that's pretty much what happened. And, it was interesting nonetheless. I'm not a big fan of Jayda. I'm not a fan of any of these girls. They're entrepreneurs just like other people. They just happen to, be dating or, dealing with like a rapper. And that's cool. No hate at all. I'm not a fan. For me, it's nothing to be a fan of. I wouldn't wear the stuff. It's not my size. I'm not interested in it. But neither here nor there. I just think that she wasn't genuine in her apology. And I felt like she got caught red-handed being snooty about it. Now, moving on to the whole fashion world, this past weekend, I did have the pleasure of going to the Strength of a Woman concert, which was at the Barclays Center, Brooklyn, New York, the Mary concert, the Mother's Day concert. And it was to me, I would call it an eclectic lineup, because we had Mary as the headliner, we had 50 Cent, we had Jill Scott, we had some other special performers, like Mooney. I think Money Long was supposed to be there, but I didn't see her. We had Lola Brooke, we had Jada Kiss, and he brought out the locks. And I may be missing. A Boogie came out. So
50 was there. 50?
50 was there. I did say 50. 50 was there. So I'm just going to give you the order of the best performances. Number one. I went to see 50 for the Final Lap Tour in August back in Atlanta. It was 50, Busta, and it was Jeremiah. And 50, when I tell you he is delivering shows like the Mel Beyonce, he changed like 6 times. And it's so funny, because you would think, like, how is a dude like 50 changing so much when all he's really doing is putting on a different color bulletproof vest, changing out his shirt, maybe changing out his sneakers. But, he definitely did it about 6 times. So he brought the same fire, the same energy to the Mary concert. This concert, same thing as the Final Lap Tour, is curated by Live Nation. I'm not a fan of Live Nation. I'm not a fan of them. I'm not a fan of their production style.
That's like a whole nother episode about why
I'm not a fan of Live Nation. The audio be crappy. They don't. I'm going to give it to y'all real. So I'm giving it to y'all straight. 50 was the best performer. I love Mary, Auntie Mary. I went to the concert for her, but she recently said that she was going to be retiring in 5 years, and I think it's time for Auntie to hang it up. It's definitely time. And the reason why I'm going to say that is because she's tired. Like, Mary is not a singer. So we come in for the vibes. We come in for the energy. We come in for the look. That's what we coming for. We coming to see Mary do her Mary dance. But she's not singing. She's only harmonizing. And I was there, and I had floor seats sitting right behind A Boogie's mother. And it was a nice time. So it was a great atmosphere. It was a great vibe. But for overall, but Mary's tired. She doesn't want to perform. She holds the mic out to the audience.
But was this because I gotta defend MJB just a little bit. Was it because like this was her whole Strength of the Woman weekend, so she had a lot happening this weekend? So because I've seen Mary and it hasn't been that long. I've seen her at Essence Fest. Like, she can put on a show. I'm not going. She ain't. Come on. She ain't even that old or nothing. Like, she still got it. So it must. I'm gonna say it must be because like it was a long weekend. She had a lot happening,
And she
and
knew
she
it was
had a
gonna be
lot
a
to
long
do.
weekend. This is her second or third annual of doing this. She knew it was gonna be a long
Right.
weekend. So at the end of the day, I'm not excusing it. Like Auntie was tired. Like, and I'm just keeping it real. And I love Mary,
She
but I don't
tired.
see her before. And she said she was soon gonna retire. I'm not paying my money to see her again. Jill Scott, amazing.
But you don't do.
Amazing.
She didn't do nothing else all weekend. You know what I'm saying? Like
I
it's
mean, I
tough.
get that, but all I'm saying is that let's just keep it
I
real.
get it.
We
I get it.
know Mary's gonna give us a good show because of the vibe.
Yeah.
Mary's not gonna
Yeah.
be singing her heart out. Like she's not giving that. She's gonna do a little harmonize and she's gonna do a little 1-2 step. She's gonna do her Mary dance and she's gonna look flawless. And that's what we coming
Yeah.
for. We coming for the reminiscent. We don't really need her to do all that singing. And that's why the reason why she don't be singing, she just holding the mic out. And it's just like I ain't come here to hear all these other people sing.
I,
Respectfully.
I get
Like I ain't come here. I got a real nice sound system. I could have just blasted my music, you feel me, and got in my zone, had my little drink. So but the entire concert was good because we had all the other acts. So 50 did his thing, Jill Scott did her thing. Um Lola Brooke, it was cool. That girl Honey Baby, this new girl who got this song called I think it's called Touching. She came out, she did do her thing. New York is a tough crowd because she asked to the crowd, she said, y'all gonna be good for me or something like that. And the crowd yelled back, no. It's New York, it's a tough crowd. But once she closed the show with her song that's being played all over the radio, people, got into it because they're hearing it. We're hearing it so much. It is a hit. So, ultimately it was a decent show. A Boogie, this man came out, sang one song, was barely singing. Like, I don't know, this lazy performance. It just gave me real lazy, like, lazy. And I mean, I get it because he wasn't on the lineup and he actually has a tour. I think he's going to be Madison Square Garden June 24th. So he got his own tour if it didn't start yet. So I get it. When you're not being paid to perform, it's like they might play your song and you go, and that's what he was giving. He had a blunt in his hand. He was barely singing. He was walking because it's like, I ain't get paid to do no show. So I'm not mad at you, A Boogie. Like, you ain't get paid to perform. You just came out because they honored his mother. They honored his mother. They honored Pop Smoke mother was in the building. I was really feeling her energy. She was like, what's up, Brooklyn? So I was feeling Pop Smoke mother energy. Mama Jones and A Boogie mother was there. So I think because his mother was there, she was being honored. He just happened to be there, but he wasn't supposed to perform, so I get it. So yeah, the concert was definitely cool. But the cool thing about the concert was that Mary actually, like I said, we're gonna come for the look. So she premiered her collaboration with Giuseppe. She just launched these new boots, like gold chrome color thigh high boots. You know how Mary's gonna give you. She's gonna give you a nice thigh high boot, a sexy little short combo 2-piece set, and that's pretty much what she wore. So a lot of talk has been going on around social media about the price of the boots. So the price of the boots premiered at $12.95. Of course, I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less. I would actually expect more because it's a collaboration with Giuseppe. Let's just be honest. It's not a collaboration with Nine West or Coach or, or it's other good leather boot companies that, I'm a woman, I shop. And, I shop good leather quality. That's not necessarily always designer, but it's not a collaboration with Cole, Cole Hand. This is a collaboration with Giuseppe. So I'm actually surprised that it's not more than $12.95 because Mary has to get her cut. They have to get their cut. So a lot of people on social media just been saying, yeah, we asked you for an affordable boot line. We didn't ask for this. This is not for the public, things like that. So this is not for the general public, or this is not for, the general consumer. And honestly, I think whoever said that hit it right on the nail. Like, everything's not for everybody at the end of the day. Like, everything is not for everybody. Go on shoedazzle.com if you want boots for $99.95. Okay? Shoe Dazzle got some nice boots. Give you a Shoe Dazzle account. And that's what you want to wear. But luckily for Mary, the boots did sell out according to a few sources. I've seen it all over online. I've read a few articles confirming it. I went on Giuseppe's website. None of the sizes are available. I think that they came out with an issue 1,000 pair, and apparently all of those have sold out. So I just want to say congrats to Auntie Mary, and keep coming with more boots because I'm about the boots. I ain't coming to no more concerts, sis, but I'm about the boots. Okay, give me some.
Buying $1,300 boots.
Make sure you got the wide calf, for us BBWs. Make sure you got the wide calf. But I want the boots. I'm not coming to see you, though. Jill Scott, though, I will go see her. And I'm not even a super Jill Scott fan. But leaving this concert, I was a Jill Scott fan. So, I should have took a picture with A Boogie Mother because that was cool. But, that's pretty much my segment. We had a great time for Mother's Day weekend. Again, happy Mother's Day. And, yeah. Auntie about to retire. Mary gonna retire.
Listen, Mary not retiring no time soon, man, because we still got to hit. You remind me.
She said 5 years.
Listen, folks, R&B dude's been retiring for decades. Joe said he wasn't. I'm still mad at Joe. Joe said he ain't dropping another album, but this man on the road every 3 months. So at the end of the day, like that's the thing with R&B artists, and I get it. Mary got, she on TV and she doing other things. She got boots now, right? Like so she got her wine, it's a wine, I believe.
It's wine, yeah. Sun, I think it's called Sun Goddess or something.
Yeah. So she's in, she in her business bag, which is beautiful. But like as an artist, there ain't no retirement plan, right? Like you get your little royalties, but you still got to hit the road and do these shows if you really trying to get that back. So shout out to her, man. The fact that she has this Strength of a Woman festival is huge, right? The fact that she finally brought it back to New York because it was in Atlanta the last 2 years. So it's back it's in New York for the first time. It was amazing. So shout out to her, man.
Yeah, but yes, we always gonna support you. I showed up and I bought floor tickets for me and my mother, and I'm not even gonna. Should I get into the story of how I sprained my ankle at Barclays? I ain't gonna get into that. All of that for you, Mary. All of that for you.
Okay, so that was Parle with Penny. And like I said, just so much. I guess we gotta get right into entertainment news.
Sad day for Bad Boy.
Before we even get into Bad Boy, there's a couple of things quickly we gotta just quickly touch because it has been a crazy week. Academics was accused of sexual assault and rape, right? DJ Academics. Only mention that because Academics he'll be quick to talk about every other person's situation, and this came out and really it's a lot. Like the woman accuses him and his boys basically of raping her, and it's a mess. Of course, he's denied the accusations, but she says there's video, and she says, she immediately went to the cops, I believe. So it sounds like that's going to really be some serious litigation, and we'll see if that goes to trial. And I mean, it's going to go to trial. She's not necessarily. She didn't sue him. She's trying to make it a criminal case. So we'll see how that works out. Also, news just popped up, and this literally happened while we were recording. Turns out, we know that J. Cole gracefully bowed out the Kendrick beef, but it looks like Drake was at Dreamville and was supposed to perform with J. Cole that night. So I don't know at what point Drake decided he wasn't going to go on that stage with J. Cole, but the goal was that night they were supposed to perform together. And for whatever reason, Drake decided, nah, I'm not doing it. I think a lot of it was because Cole probably already had it in his mind that he wasn't trying to make that night. He wasn't trying to make Dreamville about the beef.
Right.
But if you're going to bring out Drake, that would have only amplified it. So it's very interesting to hear this finally coming out. It's been a couple of weeks. So that's interesting. I'm not going to harp on it because, details are still coming out. But
I think J. Cole made that call. I don't think that was Drake saying, I'm not going to do it. Because I think for Drake, all of this shit is a game. I think it's funny to him I don't think he's really alarmed, or like he just gives me the vibe like he's just laughing about it. But I think for J. Cole, it was always a serious thing. Like I
Yeah,
think it was always a serious thing for J. Cole. So I just think, like you said, he didn't want to have he didn't want to like use his festival as, you know, the staple to even launch that, which I'm proud of him for in that regard, business wise. He could have still not performed with Drake without that speech, because the speech to me, I'm still, you already know how I feel about the speech that he gave at Parle. It was, he ain't have to do that. You feel
yeah,
me? But I get it. So yeah, I guess we gotta wait for more details about that one.
yeah. I mean, it's a lot, but it's interesting because it Kendrick did mention something about like Drake leaving Cole out in the wind or not like us. You know, at the time we didn't know what he was talking about, but that could be what he was talking about. So it's so, again, I feel like we'll be analyzing that Drake Kendrick beef for the years to come. This is like the first full week where we haven't had a diss track. It looks like the beef is over. It looks like, you know, unanimously Kendrick did win overall. He's streaming more than Drake. Like even the diss songs are streaming more than Drake's songs. So it's a good look for him, you know. But the news of the day, news of the weekend, news of the week.
Man,
CNN just dropped
Diddy.
CNN just dropped that Diddy video, man. And, you know, I think we've been waiting for the shoe to drop. The homes got raided about a month ago already. It's been over a month, no charges. He's been fighting litigation, you know, trying to get suits dismissed. I believe one of his cases was dismissed in the last 2 weeks. But CNN just dropped the Diddy visuals of him assaulting Cassie, which was the first. The whole Diddy thing, and for those who don't know, I'll try to give the briefest wrap up possible, right? So Diddy,
we want to hear.
Yeah, just, if you don't know. So the first thing that happened was Cassie came out with her lawsuit, which listed several accusations against Puff when they dated from, I want to say from about I should have pulled this up, but from, I want to say 2010 to about 2018 when they dated. Almost 10 years or about 10 years, basically. And she had everything from he raped her to he put his hands on her, he smacked her around, he forced her to participate in sexual activities with other men so that he could film it. And that was, you know, so it was several claims in this lawsuit, which Diddy proceeded to settle within 24 hours, right? So one of the quickest settlements you'll ever see. And at the time, even I said, like, that's just how, you know, the industry works. You kind of have to. If you're somebody as big as Diddy and you get a lawsuit like that from another celebrity, you do want to make it as quiet as possible and you do want to settle it. So I did get that. But what we have today is evidence of at least one of her claims. And essentially, like, she was very specific about he put his hands on her at a hotel, smacked her, threw a vase on the ground, and we are able to see all of that on the video. You can see him basically chase her down a hotel, not even a lobby, but like she's on the hotel floor. He chases her down, he throws her onto the ground, he kicks her. It's not a great look. This is very reminiscent to Ray Rice. When I saw the video, that's what I was thinking. So it definitely, you know, it's not a good look. I mean, I wish there was another way to put it. It's not a good look. And I think this is kind of the nail in his coffin, you know. So, I mean, we'll discuss that and then we'll get into our main topic. But you saw the video right before we aired this. And I mean, just to, you know, personally, I've always been a Diddy fan. I've always been a Puff fan. You know, when all the accusations were coming out, even I was defending him. And, you know, I've hated how the black community had turned on him. I hated that TMZ has a whole, like, even on my Fire Stick, like, it every day is the downfall of Diddy, which is, you know, it's kind of crazy when nothing, technically, up until today, there was no evidence of any actual crimes, right? I should also make clear that Cassie sued him. She didn't. This wasn't ever a criminal case, right? Like, this was a civil litigation. She got her money, an undisclosed amount. She's good. Technically, that's it, right? Like, they're now, based on the evidence we have.
So I guess my question is, being that, like, what will this evidence do? Like, ultimately, like, yes, it can ruin, like when it comes to public opinion, when it comes to reputation, for sure. But, like, you know, legally, like, what can the video add to? If he already settled, can it add to it now being a criminal case?
I think there's a few things here, right? First and foremost, I think what this immediately does is it kind of ruins his any possibility of I didn't do it is out the window, right? Like, and that was the thing. Even with Cassie's original claims, like, there were like 30 claims, 30 incidents. She kicked him in the stomach. He did all these things. Like, you could have been like, oh, maybe he did this, but he didn't do that. Now that we have video, you really can't. It takes away any deniability, unfortunately, right? Like, I can't, even as just a outside person, you know, I'm very much devil's advocate for everything, right? Like, even I can no longer be like, maybe he didn't do this, right? Like, it takes away that. So even all these other accusations of sexual assault, it's hard for me to now be like, nah, he didn't do it, or we can't prove that he did it, when you now have video of him doing something wild, right? Like, then that's the thing. Like, you might, you know, kind of visualize someone being accused of smacking somebody or hitting somebody, and you can attempt to visualize that, but until you actually see it on video, that's when it becomes real. And, like, I bring up Ray Rice because in a lot of ways, even with the Ray Rice thing, and I don't know if you remember the Ray Rice. Ray Rice was a football player who was accused of punching his wife at the time, right? And when the news originally came out, like, because word came out, people knew that he hit her. No one really cared. The NFL didn't suspend him. There were no issues. And then the video came out. And once that video came out, Ray Rice was banned from the NFL. That man has not played a game since. He was cut from the team. And honestly, we haven't really heard of Ray Rice since. And this was a star running back in the league, right?
So,
and I think Diddy is in kind of the same boat here, right? Like, as much as, you know, he has been heralded for his entire career, as much as we love Bad Boy, as much as there is this Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, Diddy legacy, I think seeing him on camera, punching, slapping, that first hit, I can't tell if it's a punch or a slap. I can't tell, but nonetheless, you see that. Then you see him kick her on that ground. You see him kind of drag her. As much as we could sit here and say, like, there's so many men in the industry who've probably done something similar or done the same exact thing, probably done worse, just seeing on video was the nail in his coffin. And I just don't know if there's a world where Puff is able to go back to any level of fame, success, anything like that. Legally, does this become a criminal case? I don't know. I honestly don't even know if this is enough, right? Like, are you going to charge him with assault? Right? Like, I don't think a DA in I'm assuming this is LA. I believe it's LA. I don't think a DA in LA is going to be able to make an assault case that's going to put him in jail. Like, because again, if this is a regular person and we see this video, what's this? 30 days? Like, you're not getting real jail time for,
Right.
a couple of smacks, right, and a kick, right? And that's not to say it's not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like this. We're diminishing this, but I'm just saying legally, this isn't necessarily getting you jail time.
At all.
However, now we take this, you take the raid, you take all the other accusations, because that's the thing. You still have how many sexual assault accusations? You still have, the freak offs or whatever those were, sex parties.
Right.
There is also talk about sex with underage people. That I think is like the biggest reach of all of them. But again, it becomes, and it's now officially too hard to defend anything, right? Like I can't now, even a lawyer, right? If you are Puff's lawyer, how do you say, nah, he definitely didn't do ABC when we have him on video doing, what we, the bare minimum, but what we thought, or, for defenders, what we thought definitely wasn't happening, right? So it just puts them in a real bad space, and we'll see what happens next.
My thing with the Diddy situation, I feel like everything you just said about, we have to find the crime, because, right now it's okay. He settled on the civil case. She got her money. Now we have this new video come out. He can't necessarily get, smacked with any criminal charges for this video. So all the other allegations, we need like a burden of proof. We need some type of evidence to prove that, any of these things happen. That makes it a criminal thing. Now, I feel like when we say like it's the, this is the nail in the coffin for Diddy right now, I think a lot of people are putting Diddy in the same category as R. Kelly. And I don't really think that that's a fair assessment, because I feel like, aside from the abuse in the relationship with him and Cassie, okay, so to be honest, even though I am a supporter of Diddy, I could believe that he abused women. I could believe that. Like, to be honest, a lot of these niggas in the industry abuse women. You know what I mean? So I definitely believe that. I could see that, he abused her without even seeing the video. I could believe that. But when we talk about the freak offs and things like that, I think there's a thin line. And how do we decide, like, this nigga just a freak versus he's a criminal? How do we decide, like respectfully? Because adults can do what they want to do. Like, he's a freak. Maybe he's bisexual. Maybe he like men. You know what I mean? Like, but how, like, where's the line? You know what I mean? Because I feel like trying to put him in the category of R. Kelly, where we knew when we saw that video of him pissing on that young girl, we knew that this man had a problem. Like,
I mean, and to be clear, he was still found not guilty.
Whether he was
for that track.
Not, but see, that's the difference. The difference is between public opinion and the law. We already know that just because you get acquitted don't mean you didn't do it, and just because you go to jail don't mean you actually did it. We know that in the court of law. That's different between public opinions. Like, right. So my thing is, okay, we knew R. Kelly had a problem, like between Aaliyah, between this, like we knew all of this, right? So he likes little girls. That's a problem. Like, that is a problem legally. You get what I'm saying? We cannot compare Diddy. We can't compare Diddy to that. Until we have solid proof that he be messing with little girls and little boys, we cannot put them on the same level. Respectfully, he like a lot of these niggas in the street. He beat bitches. It is sad to say, it's not cool. No, I'm not advocating for it, because no nigga ain't putting his hands on me. That's just respectfully. Like, I'm not accepting that. Like, and it is what it is. But that's not the point. The point is, we cannot compare this man to R. Kelly. I just feel like it's, and I'm not saying that you're doing that, but people are doing that. And I feel like that is that's not fair. Like maybe he's a freak, maybe he beat bitches, maybe he be freaking off and all of that. You know what I mean? Maybe he like men, all of that, because Corinne Steffens been said it. I read Corinne Steffens' book, her first book, when I shouldn't have read it. When I was probably in like middle school. She was talking about R. Kelly. She was talking about Diddy and how he like anal sex and things with men. Like she was talking about that. So, but how do we separate between you a freak and you have parties and you do adult things with adults versus you are a pedophile? How do we, like, there has to be a line between that. And I feel like when we look at that, we can see the difference until we are proven otherwise, I'm going to need proof that Diddy like little girls or he like little boys or he be getting the little boys from the Philippines. And I have to have proof of that before I try to put him on the same level as R. Kelly. And that's just how I feel about that.
I mean, I'm not going to argue any of that. I for the most part, I agree with you. I just think we have entered a territory now. I think if we had this conversation a week ago, then yeah, I'm with you and I'm riding and I'm saying the exact same things, right? But at this point, after seeing this video, it becomes, I think, and that's what, just reading the comments in the last couple of hours, right? Like it has become lock him up, right? It's not, this video has become the equivalent of that R. Kelly documentary, right? Like it has. I know you want to say it hasn't, but it actually has, because
I feel like that's not even a fair equivalent. Like to say that documentary in this video with Cassie, you know how many people was on that documentary, how many of those documentaries they had out about R. Kelly versus this one video of Cassie, her and her man that she was with. Like R. Kelly, Diddy is not different from a lot of these niggas that put their hand on women. And nobody cares until they have a video. That's the thing. Like nobody cares. These rappers be beating bitches, be putting their hands on it. Like they be doing this. And I'm not saying that is right. And I'm not saying that it's okay. I'm actually saying that it's not. The point is, I feel like you cannot compare. Like you can't compare the series of R. Kelly. You can't do that.
You shouldn't. I'm not gonna say you should, but I'm saying just again, it becomes an issue of public perception.
Pause this real quick.
I think when we talk about the R. Kelly original tape, right? Like that came out in the 2000s, different internet, different time, right? But when that documentary dropped is when all of a sudden it became real. And it became, he's going to jail sooner rather than later. And literally immediately after that is when he was arrested. He never went home after that. Like he was arrested. They wouldn't give him bail. It was a wrap. So that's what I mean in terms of like, this video now puts it where, okay, y'all raided his house. Y'all now have this video evidence. So what I'm really saying is like, if the feds come out tomorrow and say, yo, we're going to put a RICO on Diddy and we're going to put him in jail, nobody's going to blink an eye, right? Like if you came out a week ago and the feds was like, yeah, no, we putting a RICO on Diddy, he's going to jail, people would have been like, for what? Like, what are we putting him in jail for? Right. But now that you have even this little piece of, okay, he did this, there are already, like I said, when I look at comments on all the social media platforms on our posts about the video, it is all send him to jail, send him to jail. What we sending him to jail for, I'm not sure, but send him to jail.
That's sad to say, but those people are stupid. Because there are people like me that I still don't know why they raided his house. Like I'm still trying to understand, like, what are you raiding his house for? Like I still ask that question, like why? Like what happened? Especially if he settled. Why are you raiding his house? Because they're looking like they're investigating. I feel like that's the only thing that could like be said, investigating. But like what? Her claims. Okay, cool. But to me, that still doesn't make sense. So I feel like, to say send him to jail, what are we sending him to jail for? Like that, so people, and this is the thing, right? People are disillusioned. That's the thing about media. Media's a lot of media, a lot of propaganda. Its goal is to sort of disillusion people, put them on serve a particular agenda. And I just don't to me, like I can't even, I still can't. Your example of with R. Kelly, I still can't equate that, because R. Kelly videos and R. Kelly documentary and this situation with Diddy and Cassie, the video is not comparable. It's just not. And that's the evidence right there. Everything else is claims. So I feel like if people do take this and run with it and say, okay, so because he beat Cassie, you know, he definitely what's the other claims about the sex trafficking, and he definitely did that. I don't see the connection for me. But you know, I'm a person that thinks things through. Like I feel like people, you know, everything is groupthink. Everything is, oh, okay, so it looks like it, that's what it is. And to me, there has to be a line. Like there has to be a line. So to compare Diddy to R. Kelly, it's no comparison to me. It's no comparison. I don't care. Like you have a video that doesn't even have any audio of him. Yes, you can clearly see that it was Diddy, right? Putting his hands on somebody. I'm not saying that it wasn't Cassie. I'm not, but I just didn't see it in the video that exactly was her. I know it was Cassie. I'm not being stupid. I know it was Cassie. Okay, he was beating her ass. Like a lot of these niggas be beating these girls' ass. Okay, not saying that it's a problem, but to compare that to what R. Kelly was doing, where are we gonna cross the, like, where are we gonna say, okay, no, that's that and this is that? And this, to me, if you put in Diddy in the same category as R. Kelly, that's crazy.
I get it, but I unfortunately, I think we're in a space where is if I'm speaking objectively, is this the end for Diddy? I think the answer is yes. Does Diddy end up in jail? I think that's to be seen. But I think we now have a TMZ documentary. We now have a CNN video leak and report. And we have a Fed raid. It doesn't look it. This is a concerted effort to get him the fuck out of here. I mean, I don't see a link, because, like I said, I think if the feds come out with anything tomorrow, people in general, A, won't be surprised. B, won't. We don't really have a leg to stand on in terms of his defense. Right, like, and I think that's just what it comes down to. It's no different. I mean, honestly, I can get into the R. Kelly case. We're not going to do that today, but like, there were so many issues with that case, right? There's been so many issues with a lot of these public cases because, again, once the people turn on you, right? Because a lot of these public cases, right? I mean, even let's look at Trump, right? Trump is in court. He clearly appears to be guilty, right? But his fan base hasn't turned on. So if they come back with an innocent verdict, it's innocent. Like, what we gonna say, right? Even if they come back with a guilty verdict, his fan base ain't about to switch up on him no time soon off this particular trial, right? The difference here is like Puff's fan base no longer is there to support. Same with Kel's, right? Kel's primary fan base had to turn their back on him and couldn't defend him as publicly. They can't protest. You can't scream and shout. So when you're convicted, you're convicted. Now, we can look at Cosby, right? Even Cosby's case was overturned because, yes, in the moment it was like, yeah, send him to jail. But do we have enough evidence? Do we have enough to criminally charge him and make him go to jail? They didn't. I can argue that for Kells, they didn't. I mean, we just saw that Weinstein's case was overturned in New York. I know they're going to try him again. But again, it was some inconsistencies there. But again, if Puff was to go to trial for anything today, he's probably going to get convicted. Doesn't matter what charges they bring up. He's probably going to get convicted.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to add this piece. The main difference I see between R. Kelly and Diddy is, I feel like when you say like it's over for Diddy, or like he's not going to be able to do this or do that, I feel like the difference between that reality for R. Kelly and him is, I feel like Diddy gave us his all, whereas I feel like R. Kelly, this sort of really fucked up his legacy. Like the whole thing with R. Kelly, I feel like more so fucks up his legacy than Diddy. And the reason why I say that is because I feel like R. Kelly, like, it wouldn't have been over for his music. Where I feel like it's over for the bad boy era. Like, I've been feeling like this way for the last few years anyway. Like, I feel like that sound, that, like, what he pioneered, I feel like it's over for that. Like, even before this, I just felt like it was just over for. But I feel like R. Kelly still had time. I feel like he still, because the different type of music, the different type, I feel like R. Kelly could still be writing for like Coco Jones right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's the disheartening part, you know what I mean, about it between them. I feel like Diddy could just bow out. I feel like Diddy, like, I don't think he's going to jail. But as far as, like, you know, people turning his back on him and not want to work with him and stuff like that, cool. But I feel like who was really wanting to work with Diddy like that on the music level anyway within these last few years? Like, these new artists, they don't need somebody like Diddy.
But let's be clear, like, Puff just dropped a Grammy nominated album.
Yeah, but just because it's Grammy nominated, it was Grammy nominated, but like you said, nobody in the streets was fucking with it like that. He had the one little song with Bryson Tiller.
I can't say that. Like, that, honestly, that was the last album. I'm trying to think. Before Beyonce and Future's album, that was the last album that I saw heralded on social media, where everyone was like, yo, you know what? Really? That shit kind of fire.
I wasn't, I don't know. I wasn't seeing that. And I wasn't, it's a difference between seeing something and feeling it.
Right.
Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, and I come from that era. I love Bad Boy. Like, you know, I still listen to the old albums that he dropped. So Danity Kane, Day 26, but it wasn't being felt like that. Aside from the song with him and Ashanti, it wasn't being felt like that. Like,
that wasn't even on the album.
Okay, then. So my thing is, like, as far as the feeling and as far as, like, for the streets and everything, like, that album wasn't being played. That was the only song, like, in the clubs and stuff like that, that off of that, the whole Diddy thing that he was trying to, like, do his resurgence, that was playing, respectfully. Like, and the only reason why it was hot was because of the new flair of Bryson Tiller. It wasn't hot because of Diddy per se. It was hot because of Bryson Tiller, and it was hot because of, I guess a little bit because of Diddy. But outside of that, I just feel like, I really just felt like it was over for Diddy anyway. Like, outside of established artists already, it's not new artists lining up to collaborate with Diddy. It was more so Diddy trying to get on they wave, like with Carisha and with all, like, these new artists are not like, yes, I want to like, they'll fuck with a production from Kanye before Diddy right now. It's just, so I feel like with Diddy, he's good either way because he just comes from a golden era, which is sort of like untouchable, and it's like, that sound is not what these new artists, these new kids want to hear or want to recreate. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so that's just how I feel about that. Whereas R. Kelly, I feel like he had a lot more work to do. Like, that's what, to me, what's sad about it. I feel like he had a lot more work to do. Like, he could really be writing for all these new artists, Coco Jones, her, all these new people. Like, he could really, really, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I think it's also two different types of artists, moguls, except Diddy's a mogul, right? So yes, on the mogul side, if Diddy would have announced a label tomorrow, he could have created a label, and yes, he would have got back to, 2000s era Diddy, not necessarily 90s era Diddy, but he could have got back to 2000s. Kels is a songwriter, producer, so yes, Kels can wake up tomorrow. I mean, Kels, honestly, I know, I'm not going to say I know for a fact, but I am almost sure that R. Kelly is still writing for R&B artists today from prison, right? Because...
But what R&B artists do we really have? Like, I'm not into these new R&B artists. I'm not. I mean,
really... I didn't say I was into them, but I'm not even saying like on some real. Ronald Isley's last single was still written by Kels. Like, nobody was talking about it. Like, you had to go read the credits to realize that. But like, now it might not even be his last single no more, because I know he put out that song Beyonce. Not that one. He had one that was it was him and Snoop, I believe, and that was written by Kels. But don't let me get Isley in
Yeah,
trouble.
don't get into that.
That's not my intention here. But like, yeah, listen, Kels is ghostwriting. And again, I can't sit here and say I know this for a fact without a doubt. I'm not going to go that far. But everything I've seen about Kels, and we've interviewed R. Kelly at Parle too. Like everything I've seen and know about R. Kelly, the businessman and the artist, R. Kelly and all he needs is a couple of bars. He in there, new ignition. He is cooking it up right now. So
that music has not been the same since R. Kelly, Kanye, and Missy stopped heavily producing like R&B music. Like, you know what I mean? Because Kanye's still being his bag on rap, you know, stuff like that. But I feel like when he stopped producing like real R&B music, like same thing with Missy, like for real, I really feel like the music changed, like the sound, like it changed R&B wise.
it's a lot of things. I know enough R&B producers to know like they would be mad if we were having this conversation, but at the same time, I think a big issue that we've dealt with in the last few years is the amount of problematicness with our R&B artists, right? Beginning with R. Kelly, but then you have Trey Songz, you have Chris Brown, you have, I mean, and again, I'm not trying to throw my nigga under the bus, but Usher had a little problematic run too, right? Like, and it was quiet for him for like 2-3 years. My bad, Ush. I know you winning right now, so it's not. I'm not trying to throw the man under the bus, right?
Forget.
I'm just saying he had a little problematic. We're not messing with him for a couple of years too. So that's a lot of big names that were dominating the 2000 era. Robin Thicke, right? Like he had his little problematic era, and I know he not necessarily one of us, but he sounded like he one of us, right? So he had his little problematic situation. So yeah,
you know who the only person we can rely on now? Bruno Mars.
On that note, let's get into this next segment because if Bruno's the savior, sheesh.
I mean, it's fire.
And I mean, the next topic and our main topic for the day is about we said originally we wasn't gonna do too many conversations about relationships and men and stuff like that, but Diddy kind of inspired this, and it's just the reality of a lot of what's been going on. So it's this conversation of passion versus ego, right? And part of why we came to this discussion, you had a Facebook post this week, which I saw, and I was trying to analyze as an entrepreneur and businessman. We hustlers, right? So as a hustler, I was trying to understand what you were trying to say and just try to get a feel of what you were saying. So I don't want to read the whole thing, but I feel like I got to read some of it, right? So you started with, just because men may not display passion does not mean their actions are actions or thoughts are rooted in logic. So just because they don't display passion doesn't mean their actions are rooted in logic. Men are the most emotional creatures on this planet and make some of the most emotional decisions. But because they may not display passion or anger when they do so, most women let men manipulate them into believing that they're not emotional and they're logical. So I'm gonna leave it at that. That I read that on Facebook, and again, me being a hustler who is always logical, I saw that. I'm like, whoa, like my initial thought was I do not agree. That is just a wild thing to say. But I also know I can't speak for all men. So I admit that's why, like on the post, I was like, please give me some examples, which you did, right? And one of them was men have a lot of vices that serve or feed their emotional needs, moods, and feelings. For example, sex, gambling, masturbation, strip clubs, etc. Men are so emotional. That's why most serial killers are men. Men are just great at suppressing their emotion by being quiet, but those silent behaviors are fueled by pure mismanagement of emotion. And that was the point where I was like, okay, we probably got to talk about this instead
We gotta
because
talk about
I'm not
it.
I'm not about to debate you on your
We
post.
gotta talk about it.
So please, like,
We have to talk about it. In the world of podcast land, where you have so many gender wars, and you have men are logical, and women are emotional, and women are this, and men are this, and this, that, and the third. I just want to go on the record and say that men and women are both emotional and logical. Period. I mean, we're human beings. We're both emotional. We're both logical. But the I believe that men are manipulative by nature. Just how men have certain views about women that they feel like women are whatever by nature. I believe that men are manipulative by nature, but being manipulative is not necessarily a bad thing all the time. All the time. We all can manipulate certain situations, right? So I'm saying all this to say that I believe that men have manipulated women so much for so long about the fact that they are not emotional, they are logical, and we are the only emotional creatures. I think that is one of the biggest manipulations that, men kind of pit against women. And the reason why I feel that way is because everything with men is about their ego, and ego is all about emotion. So my thing is, how can you not be rooted in emotion if you're rooted in your ego, and everything that you do is fueling your ego in some kind of way? That just logically doesn't make sense to me. As well as the fact that I just feel like men, when it comes to, I just feel like there's so much going on in my head because this is a really loaded, loaded topic
it
and a
definitely
loaded.
is.
It's a loaded topic and a loaded conversation. Oh, this is the point I wanted to bring on. I think it's easy for men to state the case that women are more emotional than them because women are more expressive. We're more expressive with our emotions. We're more expressive with our tone of voice. We're just more expressive. We're more passionate. Sometimes we can get angry, or sometimes the way we express certain things, it comes off emotional. So I just want to go on the record and just let you know that just because you're not passionate, or just because you talk monotone, that doesn't mean that your actions or your thoughts aren't rooted in emotion. And that's the manipulative part right there, because men will use that stoic, reaction, or that, just that stoic attitude of, I'm not going to show that, I'm upset about it. But the action that you made is still rooted in emotion. Like, whether or not you are expressive about it, or you're upset, or you're angry, or you curse me out, or whether or not, if you are being moved by your ego, if you're making a decision that's ruled by your ego, you're being emotional. It just is what it is. Like, it just is what it is. So, one example, one of the reasons why a lot of men don't take care of their kids is because they're having emotional problems with the mother. So, you're letting your emotions stop you from logically taking care of your kid. That's an emotional, reaction. And a lot of men make that, distinction because they're not arguing with the baby mother, or because they're not, fighting with them and stuff like that, that they're not being emotional about it, but they're refusing to help the mother. So no, you're not cursing her out. You're not doing, but you're refusing to help her. Your kids need help. You're being emotional. You're making an emotional decision. You're just not being expressive about it. You're just not being angry about it. But that doesn't take away from that it's rooted in emotion. And I mean, I can go on a list of just scenarios and, things that men do that clearly show that they are emotional. So I just want to say, men, you can't manipulate me. I know y'all some emotional creatures. Just tap into it. Just let it go. Just tap into it. Just be yourself. It's all good. It's okay. But you can't fool me. You can't fool me. Y'all emotional. Emotional as fuck. Like, so that's just how I feel about that. Like, and Can't tell me otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I can't argue. I always say I can't defend all men. And I think this was a perfect topic considering what we saw in that video earlier, because obviously that is a bit of ego, emotion, and a lot of other stuff, right? And even when we talk about the downfall of some of our R&B artists, a lot of that is ego, emotion, you know, not being displayed positively and just kind of messing your own career up, right? So I can't defend it. I think about myself, and I think I always say I'm way more logical than emotional, but I think it's just one of those situations where you kind of have to and that's why I didn't argue when you posted it, because I'm like, maybe you got to sit with that and kind of think about it and really analyze what that looks like and what that means. But again, that's illogical in me, right? Like if I was emotional, I would jump on your post and be like, nah, you wilding, like, and that's not me. But um I don't
You
know.
know what? I think that in general we as people don't really understand what emotional means, because the thing is we all have emotions, just how it's personality types. I don't know if you've ever taken like the personality type quiz where it's like 16 different personality types, and I think it's the Myers-Briggs Institute, they kind of created that, and it's like a book that goes along with it, but it analyzes people personalities. Like, I'm not exactly sure because I'm not really into like the whole psychology field, and I don't, but there may be something that describes like emotional types, like personality, like emotional types. It has to be. Like, I'm
Hmm.
not exactly sure. I'm going to do some research on that, but there has to be. And just because you aren't expressive doesn't, I think that the mismanagement of emotions, I think that that's an emotional type anyway. Like, if you don't know how to properly, if you're not emotional intelligent, if you don't know how to properly express your emotions, that's that's an emotional type anyway. You understand? So it's like that's a problem as well. Being expressive about your emotions, if that's a problem, because people feel like women who are expressive or who are opinionated, like they're emotional or whatever. So if that's an emotional type, then the fact that you can't do that is as much as a problem as well. Or the fact that instead of doing that you do something else, that's an emotional problem as well. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
think that when we don't properly assess that, we run around here spewing that rhetoric that men are more logical than women. And the truth of the matter is that we both are logical and we both are emotional. And there shouldn't be of who's more logical and who's more emotional. It needs to make sure that your emotions are intact. Don't worry about, oh, a woman is more emotional. You are your emotions intact? Mr. I'm not emotional. Like it's not even about you comparing yourself to a woman. It's about how's your emotions looking? Do you assess your emotions? Do you express your emotions? Do you properly manage your emotions? Are you emotionally worry about that? You see what I'm saying?
No,
So
I totally agree. I
I'm
mean,
like that's what it is.
I think on my side, I the question I always ask, like, okay, express your emotions for what, right? And I think that is the thing that a lot of men deal with, right? And especially when you're an entrepreneur, especially when you are a hustler, right? Like, I'm expressing my emotions, porque, right? Like, what's that gonna do for me, right? Like, and I understand, like, it's totally different if we're talking about in a relationship, but even if we are in a relationship, right? Like, okay, I done told you I'm stressed. I done told you, like, I've been hustling 60 days straight and I'm tired. Like, okay, so now what?
So let me just say this: expression is not just verbal. Expression is, physical. It's other ways that you can express your emotions. It doesn't just have to be you talking them out, because necessarily you want to make sure that you're even, when it comes to express, like verbally expressing your emotions, you want to make sure that you're doing that in a safe space. Every place may not be a safe space. Every person may not be a safe space. So I get it. But if you aren't talking about it, right? So for instance, we can get into mental health. You know, Black men are not lining up to go to therapy, and a lot of them need it. Just like I need therapy, I go to therapy. I believe that everybody needs therapy. And I look at therapy in my life, it's not just about looking at the past or trauma bonding. I look at therapy as having a guide of somebody that can help me reach my goals. And that's something that I told my therapist. I'm like, I kind of brought you up to speed about the things in my past. We spent like a month or two kind of talking about that. But now I want to spend this time talking about my goals and some of the things that I want to do that's outside of just my career goals. I want to talk about, okay, now I'm in a space where I relocated. So I want to make new friends. What kind of friends do I want to make? How do I want to go? So it's like, that's even a way of expressing your emotions. That's actively working with somebody to even look at your emotional state and the things that are going to fulfill your emotional state. So friends, family, things like that, that fulfills everybody. Who doesn't like being around, like-minded people, things like that. So just because you're not you're not on Facebook sharing, your emotions, or you're not talking to your significant other, that doesn't mean that you can't manage your emotions in other ways, manage them or express them in other ways, hobbies, things like that. It's just so many other ways to express your emotions or even address them. Sometimes we don't even express our emotions with ourselves because we're not accepting them. You know what I mean? So It's a whole, like, if you're not accepting the fact that you're lonely because et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, how can you even properly manage that emotion? So I think that this is like a loaded, because it's not just when we think about it, it's not just a male thing, because some women don't have a good handle on expressing their emotions physically, verbally, or whatever. And we all use some forms of escape mechanisms to address the work that needs to be done. We all do it in some kind of way. But I think there needs to be a balance of knowing the certain things you have to do to, keep your emotions in check. So I just want to say that when it comes to emotional work, men and women equally, we have work to do.
So, I mean, I don't want to harp on this too long because I think a lot of people just have to like just kind of self reflect and make decisions for themselves and decide where they are and what they need to fix if they need to fix. I mean, we probably all need to fix something. So, like, what it is that you need to fix, right? But interestingly enough, like when we came up with the name for Hustlers Anonymous, it was actually me talking to another entrepreneur and saying, all entrepreneurs probably need therapy, but then we probably need some form of Entrepreneurs Anonymous, right?
Mm.
And that's, I was like, entrepreneurs is cool, but like we really hustlers, so it's Hustlers Anonymous. But then, even in saying that, I said that out loud, like we probably need therapy, but me personally, I've never done therapy, right? And
You're not
maybe
wrong in that.
maybe I mean I know a lot of people haven't done therapy, particularly Black people, and I have this conversation often with friends, and we have that discussion of everyone. I've talked to people who say everyone needs therapy, right? And I get that in theory, right? Like it's a cute thing to say, but we need therapy for what? Like, and I think that may be the issue, right? Like, what as a hustler and business and my hustles are my at the end of the day they're my main priorities, right? Like they are the things that I focus on the most. I wake up thinking about them, I go to sleep thinking about them. They pay the bills. Like it is a 24-hour focus on these things. I'm dreaming about the hustle, right? So I'm always conflicted about what am I going to talk to a therapist about, right? Like you're not helping me in this business, right? Like I feel like I'd be better off with a business advisor than a therapist. and maybe we need to bring a therapist on here to have this conversation. But I'm like, no, that's what I don't want to sit down and tell a therapist, my business struggles. How that gonna help me? Like now, I'm just saying, yeah, we got
No,
denied for.
so I think that you're bringing up some good points, and I think that in theory, when you look at the role of a life coach, the role of a business mentor, the role of like even like I'm looking for a delivery agent, like the role of these like these different people who are there to coach and guide you. In a way, they do some therapy in a particular part of your life. So they're helping you, they're helping you theorize about things in your business, right? Now, I believe that really, so again, like I said, you have different type of you have different type of therapists. So you have some that focus on trauma and crisis. You have some that focus on family stuff. Different specialties, right? But what I think is most beneficial for people who generally don't have any real traumatic issues, like if you don't have any real traumatic issues that you really need to talk to that kind of therapist about, you may just want to talk to a therapist as a life coach, as somebody that can help you connect the dots. And that's kind of where, when I moved to Atlanta, that's kind of what I was doing, working on, like working with my therapist. It was like, I'm new in the city. These are some of my goals that I have, which it was like, I wanted to make new friends. I wanted to be, join different associations. I wanted to get back with my sorority chapter, like in Atlanta. Like I wanted to do, some of these things. And I think having a person who does not know you to bounce those ideas off, I think that is creating a safe space in itself. Sometimes people that sometimes talking to them about your plans, about your goals, about things like that, it can be a tricky kind of spot because these are people that feel like they know you. Their advice may not be encouraging. They may not believe in you. So I just think that sometimes having like a person from a person with a different perspective that's not connected to you, I think that could really help. And then you don't really know the connections that a therapist might have, the thought process that they may have in the ways that they actually can help you. So I mean, I feel you, but there's a part where, yeah, you can spend all day with a business advisor and somebody that's helping you with your business, but it's that mental and that emotional part that has to be handled with care so you're even good to show up in your business.
That's interesting. Um, and I'll take that into consideration. Like I always take these conversations about therapy, and this wasn't even our intention, right? We were talking about ego and passion and logic, but a lot of those things, in order to even face whether you are too emotional, whether you're not analyzing your emotions correctly, require therapy. I wish, I wish therapists, and I'm sure the therapists are gonna be mad at me. I wish therapists had like trials, right? Like I shouldn't have. I need like my first session. It should be like Spotify, right? Like let me try it out for 7 days. Let me see if this makes sense for me before I commit, because I'm already paying you and I don't even know. I'm already going into
So
it like,
there are some therapists and there are some websites that you can use to do a lot of what the pandemic has offered us is everything remote. So you can get a remote therapist, but you don't have to show up. Yeah, I can have a Zoom face to face. They have a website called BetterHelp. They have some other sites. Also, I've worked with two therapists before too, where I was paying out of pocket, but I paid them per session. So what I would say is, and you're not going to talk to a therapist every day, you're going to talk to a therapist once a week. So I would say there are therapists that you can do a 3 session trial with. You know what I mean? It's not a contract. It's really pay as you go type of thing. So that's the experience that I've had with some therapists. It's like you're paying per session. And that's how your insurance would handle it anyway. Like if you did it with
yeah,
insurance, they pay per session. They're not going to pay them up front and you didn't go to the sessions.
no. But I just mean in a sense of like, especially when you have people who are already, someone like me who already has doubts about how therapy can be helpful to me, right? Like I just mean more in a sense of I I just feel like I need to kick it with somebody first, which is why like again, I don't necessarily see the value for me personally. I'm not one to say nobody should go to therapy. I don't believe in that. Right? Like everyone needs to feel about it the same way I feel about religion in a lot of senses, right? Like you need to find what works for you and you need to find what motivates, activates you, right? Whatever helps you get through, do that. So for someone who has concerns about it, right, who doesn't know enough about it, like most black men in these communities, right? Black men, so many of them don't even go to a doctor, much less a therapist, right?
And that's
So it's like I need to have an initial conversation before I'm even paying. Because that's the thing. Like even if this session is gonna cost me money, I'm already like, I don't even want to pay for this. So what am I about to get?
If you have insurance, your insurance may pay for the majority of it, and you pay $20 or something. How many times have you wasted $20? Let's be honest.
I don't even want to raise my insurance on it.
Here's my thing, right? Therapy is different forms of therapy, and when I say different, I'm not even talking about just having a counselor. I'm talking about, so everybody, a therapy is available for everybody. I don't necessarily believe everybody needs it, but I do feel like if you have dealt with trauma, that you should tap into it. A lot of people use religion as a form of therapy. To me, that is another form of therapy. Because I believe that it's so many different forms of therapy just for your overall well-being. So you have the physical therapy, like respectfully, you need to be moving your body, whether you in the gym, whether you walking, whatever you're doing, like that is going to help with your overall mental health. Same thing with, talking to somebody. Like you got to talk to somebody. So whether it's a therapist, whether it's a pastor, whether it's your best friend, you got to talk. So it's all different forms of, therapy. If you don't feel like you need to go talk to a stranger and that is needed, and if you feel like you have the 100% support of friends, family, or certain people that you can lean on for that, that is your therapy. And that's something that I need for a lot of Black men to understand, is that you may feel like you don't want to go talk to a therapist, but if you are vomiting on your girlfriend or your wife, and you haven't spoken to your father in years, and you have issues with that, and things are constantly coming up, and you're vomiting on your girlfriend, she's your therapist, or you want her to be. So what's really the difference? The only difference is the fact that you know her, and you may be engaging in sexual acts with her. And that's really the only difference, right? But some people feel like they want to talk to a neutral person, that they don't have that, because it gets tricky when you want to talk. People start attaching themselves to your issues when you're really talking about deep stuff and stuff that bother you. Sometimes talking to a person that's close to you about it, they put themselves in the center. They put themselves in the center of your experience, and it's like, I didn't tell you this to talk about that. I'm telling you this because this is something that's really bothering me. So you kind of get that balance. You're not going to really experience that with a therapist. You know what I mean? And some people need that, and then some people don't. So it is up to the individual. You know what I mean? What it is that you feel that you need or you don't. So
I get it. All right. I think on that note, I mean, for folks who, want to challenge anything we said about therapy or emotions and whatever, please drop those in the comments. Listen, if you want to give me a free therapy trial, we get this partnership started, hit me up. I'm willing. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that's the hustler in me, right? Like I need a discount. I need to figure out what we working with. I need to.
Your insurance should provide you with some kind of discount.
And my insurance, we good. We got great insurance on this side. I just need to test it out first. I need to know if I mess with you the long way. I might not.
Well,
and again, I need to see if I even.
You know what? They have these websites like BetterHelp and ZocDoc where you can actually look up, therapists who specialize in whatever. You can kind of screen them before you even, start. But this is what I will say, and this is completely free. If you want to know how it feels to talk to a stranger, call a crisis hotline. Call a crisis hotline when you're going through some shit and you can't reach your friend, they not answering, or your cousin not answering, whatever. And see how it feels.
And that works if you're going through a crisis. But somebody like me, man, I'm not even dealing with my emotions, much less You know, crisis. We good on this side. I'm just trying to get to the hustle. But that's
There you go.
that's
But
the
a
thing
hustle,
with being a hustler.
your mind gotta be right so you can really get to the hustle. You're not running around in circles.
Right.
So
And that's a big part of it too. Is we don't even. I mean, depending on the hustle. I know me personally. Like I'm not even thinking about shit that's bothering me most of the time. Right. Like, cause I'm so focused on the hustle. I don't. Okay, I had a bad day on Wednesday, man. It's already Friday. We back to emails, back to this money, back to this hustle. So that's just how I look at it. But I'm sure people will challenge me in the comments. Please do. Make sure you follow us. This was a great episode. Make sure you follow us on social media. We got the social media handles for Hustlers Anonymous. It's Hustlers Anonymous Podcast on all social media platforms. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. Make sure you follow our personal accounts. I'm Parle with me. The magazine is at Parle Mag. Go ahead, Penny.
yes, and I am Penny Blackwrite with the S. On Instagram, Penny Blacwrite. Blackwrite is spelled Blackwrite. Is no K in black. And my website, pennyblackwrite.com. So please tap in, read some books, and yeah, until next time.
See you next week.